All right, so back with another story. I'm still taking care of players. I'm still doing all this stuff. And I remember one off season. Actually, this is a little bit of a flashback. This is when I was still doing Bayside. A Japanese player from another team wanted to do a big New Year's party. Because in Japan, the players, it's a little different than the States. Like the players are contracted to the teams owns their image, their face, their name, their rights, everything. So they can't do anything without the team's approval. So it's not like the States. It's a little different. So this player actually was going to go to the States, so he was free from the contracts here in Japan. And he wanted to do a huge New Year's Eve party and, a big, just go out with a bang type thing. And we had a meeting with him. The first meeting, he came over, and of course I know him. I met him a couple times. He comes over and we're talking. And he's like, "Yeah, I just want to do like an American style, like just a huge champagne, just confetti, just explosion of New Year's Eve." So we're like, all right, and he wants to get a price estimate of everything that's going to cost him. So we get the dancers, we get the champagne, all the bottles, you get to the sponsors, and so we're putting this all together. So the next meeting, he pulls up in a brand new Lamborghini, just beautiful car, and we're like, "Oh, did you get a new car?" He's like, "Yeah, I just bought it off the showroom floor. I mean, literally just bought it. He just came from the dealer to here." And I was like, "Okay, but you're going to the States. You spent $500,000 on a Lamborghini. Not my business. Whatever." So we're giving him the price estimates and stuff, and for this and for this, and he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And I mean, it was for everything that he wanted. It was going to be a little expensive, but he's got a $500,000 Lamborghini now too, so I guess he can afford it. I guess the States was giving him a good contract. So we finished that meeting. We're talking. We're having just laughing and joking around, and talking about the States. So we go out to the car. And we're standing there, and in Japanese tradition, like when you're finished with a meeting and you walk somebody to the car, you guys wait until the car drives away, and then you kind of bow. That's just show respect. You don't just take them outside and go back in. You wait till you can't see them no more. They're ridden off in the sunset. So, we're out there, and we're all behind the car, standing there. Everybody's got, their hands to the side or in front of them, to the backs, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. It's a good 3-4 minutes. And the Japanese guys look at me like, "What's going on?" I don't know. So me being the non-Japanese one of the group, because they're just going to stand there and wait until he drives away, I walk around the corner of the car and I look and I tap on the window, and he kind of opens the door, and I'm like, "What's wrong?" He's got the manual. He's got the manual open, trying to figure out how to start the car. And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "The car won't start," and he's pushing the button. And I'm like, "Put your foot on the brake." Push the button, and car lights up. I mean, flames out of the tailpipe type thing. And he's like, "Oh, thank you." That's all. Then he drives off into the sunset. We do our thing, and that because these players, from childhood, I mean, from the really young age, they're taken to the baseball world, and from there they're just kept in a very tight bubble. Kids that are going to make it, the kids that aren't going to make it are pushed out. The kids that are doing good, they keep them. I mean, these guys they didn't know how to, put music in their own iPhone. What is Skype? How does Skype work? I mean, these are things that I had to help them with over the years. And now, of course, technology, they're getting a little more, the phones are more technical and stuff, so they're figuring it out better. But at the time when I was there, they'd be like, "Hey, and they're like, one guy is doing a video FaceTime with a video chat on his phone, because the phone did video. And that gets pretty expensive because you're running through the phone charges. So I asked him, I was like, what are you doing? Why don't you just use Skype? You can just use the Wi-Fi and run through Skype rather than the phone itself. And he was like, "Hey, what's Skype?" So I'm like, okay. So after the game, I go down to his room and I break out the computer and I show him this is Skype. And, I test call somebody, a friend of mine, just to tell him. And I say, "Look, the video's clean, it's clear, and it runs off Wi-Fi. This doesn't cost you anything." He's like, "Oh, so I need one of those, a computer." I'm like, "Yeah, you got to," because at the time they didn't have the Skype application on the phone. It wasn't, they might have, but I don't think so. Not really. It was still a little bit before the iPhone really blew up. So he was like, well, what do I need to do? I said, "Well, you got to get a computer and you just install Skype." He's like, "Hey, can you take care of that for me?" So on my off day, I go up to the electronics store, I buy a computer, I install it, I create up all these passwords, accounts, I install all these different applications you can use on his Mac, and then I give it to him. I was like, "Here you go. So now you can talk to your kids, before the game," because that was his thing. He always liked to talk to his kids before the game. He's like, "But don't they need one too?" I'm like, "Yeah, they got to have one too." And he was like, "So I need another computer." I'm like, "Yeah, you're going to have 2 computers. You don't have one at the house?" He was like, "No." Okay, so I go to the store, electronics store, buy another computer and set that up on their account, and that way they have 2 computers. Another player, he was just like, hey, Bachi, I have this CD, but I want to put it in my phone. It's the iPhone. I think it just came out probably. What do I need to do? I just plug it in your computer. I need to buy a computer? Yeah, you have to have a computer. That's how you put it in. Well, I don't need a computer. I wouldn't use it. I was like, well, I can do it on my computer, but it's going to be, it'll have to be on my, under my account type thing. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. So he gives me the phone during the game. I put all his music and all the music to, the labels have given me over the years, sample stuff. And, I just put it all on there for him. So once he got that, he's like playing it in the locker room, like puts his phone on a little speaker and he's playing the music. Everybody says, how'd you get this music on the phone? And he's like, Bachi. So I did 4 people's phone that week. Just putting music on it, just installing music into their phones off of my computer because they didn't have a computer, they didn't know how to do it. It's these other things because they're put in this bubble, and baseball is the only thing they're allowed to do, and then they have brands give them clothes, brands give them this, shoes are from Nike or Adidas, Under Armour supporting them and stuff. So they really just don't get out enough. They don't do it, and they're playing so much in high school here. The baseball is so harsh that these kids, when they're younger, they don't get a free day. They're 7 days a week they're practicing or playing, and then they make it to the minor leagues and get signed to a team, and from there it's just the same thing. They live in a dorm. They have to be home by 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, and then after that, once they start making it, and I think they have rules like if you play in the major leagues for so long, you can move out of the dorm, or if you 3 years and in the team or whatever their different rules are. They can't own cars. So when they're younger, so they're just kept in a bubble. So when they get out of that bubble, it's just like a whole new world to them. Showing them how to use an iPhone or whatever, like a new camera, and they love it. It's just like it's just Instagram Live to these guys was like, what is this? And they just love watching it. And I'm sure TikTok now, because the quarantine, they're all sitting home figuring out TikTok. They won't do it because teams don't like the players here to have any kind of social media account. It just be safe. I mean, stupid pictures or a stupid video can ruin somebody's career. So they prefer them not to use the accounts, and they're fine with it. So they just look at it, but they don't involve themselves in it. So that's it. I just to let you know kind of how these guys over here are. They're focused on baseball. Baseball is their life until they retire. It's not about anything else. And here you can't really buy like a huge house. Well, you can if you move to the countryside or to the edge of the cities and stuff. They have houses and stuff. In the States, of course, so-and-so will buy a huge mansion for $5 million and 20 cars and all this stuff just to show they've made it. But in Japan, it's not really that easy because if they want to buy a house, they have to buy it way out of the city, which is going to be a long commute just to go to play a game or whatever. So what they do here, it's about cars. Because they all live in the same mansion. We call them mansions. Here, mansions are condominiums to say. They call them mansions, but it's basically almost a condominium type thing. It's just a big apartment, like all souped up apartment. So they will all stay in the same building, same condo complex, because it's like the high end. It's in the high end neighborhood. It's like around Beverly Hills. You got the 24-hour English speaking, Japanese speaking, people at the front, parking lot underneath, so people don't see you pulling in or pulling out. And these are the places that they live, which they pay. I mean, it can go to $20,000-$30,000 a month for rent, and that's what they pay. They don't buy it. You don't buy those places. They don't sell them. You just rent them. But it's a status. I live in Tower 7 of Commercial Street, and that's the celebrities' tower. And so what they do is they buy cars, and that's why the guy bought the Lamborghini before, just to. It's a status. It's like I made enough money I can afford, because cars here are a little more expensive in the States, and plus to get a driver's license here costs $3,000. You have to go through driving school and take the test. So you got to have a little bit of money just to get your license. Parking spaces, you have to have a registered parking space to your name before you can buy a car. So if I live in an apartment and I don't have a parking space, I got to find one around me, and it has to be within, say, a 1.5 mile radius of where you live. Any more than that, you can't register to your name. So they have these laws. So I've got to look around my area, my neighborhood, find a parking spot, rent it. And now renting them can be, if you live out in the country, it'll be like away from the big city areas, it'll be $200 a month. But if you live in Tokyo, that's $600-$700 a month for just a parking spot. So you rent the spot, you get the certificate saying you have a parking spot that can fit the size of the car, and then you take that to the dealer with you, and then you can purchase the car showing that they have a parking spot. It will fit in. Now, a lot of buildings here have the elevator parkings. Like if you put your car in and it takes it down, and like Tetris type thing. It puts a car, and then when you want it back, it brings it back up and off the elevator. So they either go down or they go up. And a lot of big cars like Bentleys, Rolls Royces, Range Rovers, Jaguars, these like extravagant luxury Lamborghinis, Ferraris, the width and stuff won't fit in those type of elevators. So even though the building has a parking, you can't use it, so you got to go rent one outside. If you have two cars, because you and your wife are driving, that's about $1,000 to $1,400 a month extra just to have a car in Tokyo. So these are prices of owning a car. So if you pull up in a Lamborghini or a Range Rover, Jaguar, one of those really nice high-end cars, it basically says, one, you live in a big enough apartment that either has the parking for it, which is expensive, or you can afford to park somewhere that's big enough to take care of that car. So that just shows you have money. Plus, a good Range Rover over here, like a high-end top end, would be almost $300,000 plus. A high-end Jaguar is $200,000. A Lamborghini is $500,000. So it just shows you have money, and that's how they do their status thing here. They will pull up in a nice car, and that shows I've made it. It's not about where they live. It's not about the house's size. I mean, they'll live in a little apartment, but they will have a nice car to show, you know, I'm doing good. And of course, watches and bags. You know, everybody here uses Louis Vuitton because status. I mean, just they're everywhere. It's all about, and they're not knockoffs. They're real bags. And that's something funny also about like hostess clubs or like buy me drink bars here. So how they do things, they will tell 5 customers it's their birthday next week, and they'll ask for the same thing 5 times. I want this Louis Vuitton scythe or wallet, or I want this Louis Vuitton backpack or whatever. So, you know, these guys that have money buy it for them. So they buy them all 5 of these products, the same product. What they do is they keep one, and then they resell the 4 back to like a used, like high-end brand thing, and they get almost what the money that the guy paid for because it's brand new. And then they make that money back, and then they have the one bag, so whenever that customer comes in, they can show off that they say, hey, I love my birthday present. So that's how they do that. So you'll see a lot of bags over here, and that's kind of how it works. And also credit cards here. That's something else that you should know if you're coming to Japan ever. The credit card system over here, if you buy something with a credit card, they will tell you 1, 6, 12, 18, 24, whatever. And of course, at first, you're like, what, 1, 12, 6, what? It's payments. Here, they allow payments on credit cards. So if you buy a $1,000 bag at Louis Vuitton or whatever, you can do 10 payments at it for $100 a month, plus interest, of course, it's the interest. So the more the payment is, the more interest you're going to be paying on it. So that's something that young kids don't. And credit cards for young kids are kind of difficult. I didn't get a card for almost 15 years because I was a foreigner. They don't like to give foreigners cards here because you rack up a bill and then you vanish. So it's difficult. Renting houses and getting credit cards, anything like that is difficult here for foreigners because they think we're just going to take advantage of it and bolt, you know, jump on a plane and get out of here. But for kids as well, because, you know, most kids with credit cards are 25, I guess, around that age before they can get a card after they got a job. But yeah, you can make payments. So when you go to pay for a thing, they'll be like 1, 6, just put up one finger. That means one payment that you're just going to pay it on the next time it's due. So be careful with that as well. If you do 6, you'll be paying that off for 6 payments, but your interest is going to be a lot higher. Well, I think that's some of the simple things. Hope you enjoyed. I'll talk to you in a little bit.